Just they, what's with these R-rated comedies, man? Can't you just be good? Hey, what's up, you guys? Film fan 0599 here again, and today we're going to review The House. So, The House stars Will Ferrell and Amy Poehler, and what this film is basically about. It's about, when the town takes away the money that they're going to use to get their daughter into college. They run a illegal casino now with their friend to try and get the money back. And some, things ensue and whatever. So, what did I think of The House? Now, going into The House, I didn't really expect much going into it. It kind of just looked really bad, honestly, from the trailers. I didn't really laugh at any of them. But, I was going to go in open-minded. Maybe, hopefully, it could have been a pleasant surprise. And, I could have maybe had some fun with it. Unfortunately, it met my expectations. Yeah, The House is pretty bad. It's pretty awful, honestly. I did not enjoy The House. It is a garbage comedy. It's just another one to add to the long list of modern R-rated comedies that just suck. And that just from this year alone, okay? It's so terrible, this movie. It's really bad and it's not that enjoyable. It really isn't. But I do have some positives with the film. And first being, what the positives are. First, I did think the daughter was the only likable character in the film. I did think the actress that played her did a very solid job, and I did like her in the movie. She was definitely the only likable character in the film, and was the only one that, I enjoyed at many of the characters. And there were some moments that I did think were funny. I did think there were some moments in the film that were pretty funny. I did like them. I was like, okay, yeah, that was pretty funny. Didn't mind that. That was pretty enjoyable. So, yeah, there are some moments in this film that I did, enjoy and did think were pretty funny. But that's only moments. And that's, unfortunately, where my positives end. So, now let's get into the negatives. And the negatives are, first being the rest of the acting is just terrible. Everyone just does a terrible job, and all the characters in this movie are either one or two things, or both, unlikable or obnoxious. That's what a lot of these characters are, unfortunately. And Will Ferrell, who I love, he's my favorite comedic actor of all time, but I could not get behind him in this movie. His acting is terrible. And, his character is just so unlikable and stupid, really. It was just unbearable to watch his character at points, honestly. I didn't really enjoy him all that much. He just wasn't good to me. So, yeah, same goes with Amy Poehler. She wasn't good either. She is very obnoxious, very unlikable in the movie as well. I didn't really enjoy her either. She wasn't that good. And then you got Jason, whatever his last name is, Pam, the drug dealer from Dirty Grandpa. The character I wanted to super kick so hard in the frickin' face last year. Because of how much he, I was infuriated with his character. Yeah, okay, you get the point. But, he's in this movie too, and he's not good either. Just like everyone else, he's unlikable and he's obnoxious. And I did not enjoy him as well either. Same goes with Nick Kroll. Nick Kroll is the same thing. Unlikable, obnoxious. That's all these characters are in this movie. It's just obnoxious, unlikable characters. Seriously. And I could care less for any of them. Really, like I said, the only character I really cared for was the daughter because she was the only likable character. Besides that, all the other characters are terrible. The comedy is awful. I couldn't... the comedy with this movie is just so terrible. I could not believe how awful the comedy was with this film. It is so poor, the comedy. It really is. Honest to God, it's really so poor, this comedy. It's the same old run-of-the-mill, moderate R-rated humor that they tried to do, and it's just... There's nothing clever to it. There's no punchline to it. It's just it's kind of like this. Oh, here's weed. That's the joke. Like, that's supposed, like, there's no punchline to it. There's nothing clever about it. It's just like, hey, it's weed, laugh at it. Like, that's kind of like what the humor is. It's just like that. It's like kind of like that, and it's terrible. Like, I didn't find it funny. Like, I was just like, I'm supposed to be laughing at this stuff, and I'm not, because it's not well written, and it's not clever at all. It's awful. It's terrible humor. And honest to God, it really, really is. It's just terrible, terrible humor. Like, seriously, the humor is just awful. The movie gets ridiculous at point. Like, there are moments in this movie where this just gets ridiculous. And, like, there's moments in this movie where I'm, like, asking so many questions. Like, how did they get this? How did this happen? How are they doing this? Like, there's just so many questions that I had while watching this, because just nothing made any sense. Literally, nothing made any sense in this movie at all. It's so terrible. Like, nothing makes sense at all during this film. It makes little to no sense. Like, how did they think this was good? How did Warner Brothers be like, oh, this is a good script, let's take it, let's go with it? Like, no, nothing makes sense at all. Seriously. And by the way, I don't know if many people have really mentioned this with this movie. The movie kind of just like there's a point in the movie where you think it ends. Like, it's like, okay, it's gonna end here, right? No, it just keeps going. No, the movie is still going. It's still got like a couple minutes left. Like, it's like, wait a minute, like, what else do we have to do? Like, it's just, what? Like, it's just, it felt like at one point it was supposed to end here, but they still had extra footage left, and they were like, okay? That was just like, that was so weird to me. Like, it's like, usually with these type of movies, it usually like ends here, and then that's it. But no, they still kept going with the movie. I was like, okay? Speaking of that, this movie's predictable as hell for the really, it is predictable as hell, honestly. Like, it really is. Like, I pinpointed almost everything that was gonna happen in this movie, and I hate it when I do that with movies, because I love to be surprised. I love it when movies take me by surprise. I hate it when they're predictable, and this is a predictable as hell movie. Besides, I really didn't think the chemistry between Will Ferrell and Amy Poehler and Jason, whatever his face is, wasn't good. They really didn't have any good chemistry with each other. I just didn't buy it for a second. The writing is terrible. Like, how did they think this was a good screenplay? It really is. Like, the dialogue that a lot of these characters say are pretty terrible. So, yeah, the writing is just terrible. It's honestly awful. It's a terrible, terrible screenplay. The directing is awful, too. It's not even really that well shot. It's very kind of bland how it's shot. The editing's not even that great. Especially, like, there's like a fight scene that happens, and the editing with that scene is just god-awful. Oh my god, like, it's just so god-awful. And the cinematography isn't even that great, to be honest with you. Like, I didn't even think that was that good. And the movie is so slow. Like, honestly, if I'm not laughing, and if I find your characters unlikable and the story not interesting, yeah, I'm going to be pretty bored. The movie's only an hour and 28 minutes, and it felt like a 2.5-hour movie. Like, it just wouldn't end. And I was just like, just please end already. This movie is so boring. Like, seriously, it is so boring, this movie. And I really wasn't enjoying it. So overall, The House is another terrible R-rated comedy. What a surprise. It's so bad. I really didn't enjoy it for the most part. Like I said, besides, you know, the daughter, who's the only likable character, and some of the comedy that I thought was pretty funny, everything else about this movie is just terrible. It really is. From the unlikable characters, to most of the humor, to the writing, and nothing making any sense. It's just an awful film, and I really don't recommend you see it, honestly, because it's pretty awful. So it's time for my official grade on The House, and my official grade on The House is a D. It's an awful movie. I did not really enjoy The House all that much. It's a pretty awful film, and yeah. Will Ferrell, man, Will Ferrell, you gotta do better, man. I love you, man, but you gotta do better. You gotta find something to do that's better. Come on, man. I know you can. You're Will Ferrell. God dang it, you can do it. The House is awful. Definitely deserves a D. Enough said. So if you have seen The House, what did you think of it? In the comment section below. And I'm FilmFan0599, and we will see you about later. Peace.